All right, everyone, we're here to talk about the Yeah We Know podcast.
Well, first off, I want to say belts are just changing hands left and right here.
Yeah, we know.
If you came through the WWE and wanted to be a big-time deal, you had to go through The Undertaker for, what, about 20 years, Jimmy?
Yeah, we know.
Jimmy, are they screaming RK Bro, or are they screaming Randy, Randy, Randy?
Yeah, we know.
It's Seth freaking Rollins. Show the man his respect.
The Yeah We Know podcast. Find it in this feed, part of the More You Knows podcasting network.
Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know Podcast Network presents Balls and Brew.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network. I am your host. My name is Rod Morgan. This podcast and every podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network is produced by James Jamriska. If you are new here, hello. This is where we talk about the NFL. We usually do it with Chris King. He's my normal co-host here on Balls and Brew, but Hurricane Ian is barreling in on the East Coast, so they're under a bit of a, what is it, Jimmy, a hurricane watch, I guess is what Chris referred to it as because of the stormy weather he's got?
Yeah, he's only under a watch, so he's just losing power, and the winds are extremely high, knocking stuff down. So it's pretty easy for him, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So our thoughts go out to all of those listeners here in the Morgan You Know Nation that might be impacted by that extreme weather there on the East Coast. It's going to be playing with maybe some of these NFL games. We'll see if that comes up in any of our discussion with our producer, Jimmy, who you just heard from. Jimmy, let me just say formally hello.
Hello again, Rod. Thank you for formally introducing me.
Exactly. We got to make sure that we do all these things properly. And if we're talking football, we're talking to somebody who is blazing hot. If I can transition out of the serious Hurricane Ian and bring in our blazing hot football handicapper, Josh Williams. Josh, 9-0, killing it so far.
Let's go, man. NFL 9-0. What better way to start off the season? Let's try and keep it rolling in week 4.
All right, let's go back and go over some of our things that we normally do here. I need to grade my Tom Cruise game of the week. We got Chris, who is not with us, but he has let us know the 3 things that he knows. And Jimmy, of course, will go over his heel and face of the week. The game that's going to take care of a lot of those things for us, Mr. Williams, and probably the game of the weekend, or I don't know, maybe you'd have a different vote, but Miami versus Buffalo.
Yeah, that game was fantastic, man. It had just about everything. The heat was really getting to guys late in that game.
Which I believe you told people to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Miami would score more, but their defense really did a good job on Buffalo. I think Buffalo's probably the better team, but I just like that spot for Miami there. Kind of a similar spot to Minnesota Green Bay week 1, where I said if Minnesota wants to win this division, they have to win this game at home. Similar thing to Buffalo. I mean, if they want any chance to win the division, they had to beat Buffalo there at home. Over 100-degree heat index, and the Buffalo D, the Miami D was on the field for I think 90 plays in that game. So they were really gassed. They did a really good job. Buffalo, man, I mean, they cannot win these close games. They're like 0-7 now in one possession games going back to the start of last year. Yeah, they blow teams out, and like people love to pick them for their Super Bowl picks, and hey, maybe they might win the Super Bowl, but they cannot win these close games, man. And so that's a real big concern going forward for the Bills.
Yeah, Jimmy, let's go over to you. I guess the other big story coming out of that refers to your heel of the week, and it's one thing that Chris knows, so I'll let you start.
So my heel of the week is concussion protocol, and that goes right in line with Chris's one thing that he knows is that Tua had a concussion. He's never seen someone with a back injury stumble like that. And when you look at that, and Tua actually got hurt again in the Thursday night game, when you look at Tua coming up from that, whatever it was, back injury, head injury, that is not how a human being should be walking, let alone someone with the athleticism as Tua. He should not have come back in the game. What are we doing here, Rod? What are we doing?
I mean, I hate using this tired sports talk radio phrase of it's not a good look, but really that is the best way to describe this, right? If you are the NFL and you are coming out and you're telling people that we have this new equipment, we have these new protocols, we have people who are supposed to be independent, you know what I mean? You have the Players Association who is fighting hard saying that we want our guys to be safe out there, save them from themselves, so to speak. We agree to participate in it actively. All of those seem to fail in the situation that brings Tua back out onto the field in that game. Mr. Williams, do you agree with me, or do you think I'm being a little too harsh here?
No, I agree with you, man. He looked real bad. He looked like he composed himself on the bench afterwards, but I mean, you have to go through tests, and they have been recently with it seems like there's a different protocol for different players. So yeah, it needs to be cleaned up here. You're right. It was not a good look for the NFL.
And Jimmy, for the NFL to come out and say that they think all of the protocols seem to be followed, I mean, that to me was a bogus release there. I had a lot of trouble buying that one. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Well, I think if one of the protocols doesn't include guy falls down, hits his head, stands up, wobbles, and falls back down again, he should be out for more than a half hour. I mean, he should be out for the game. Then again, what are we doing? The NFL, they might have followed some protocols, but obviously we don't know. And Williams is right. It's different for different people. He's the quarterback. He has to go back in.
Yeah, most definitely. And I would also say that we know that these guys want to be Warriors and they want to get back out there, and that's all fine and dandy. So I don't want to hear any talk, that, he's getting out there because he's going to get killed for not getting back out there. I don't think we think that way anymore, right? These guys have got to be safe. They've got to realize that they have a long career, and you know what? If you need to sit out a little bit longer, get some tests, maybe you missed the second half of that football game, it's not the end of the world. We need to get closer to that mindset.
Yeah, Rod, seriously, if there would be a handful of people, probably thousands of people, that would have destroyed Tua for not going back in the game, those are people you don't listen to and you don't care about, because anyone with a heart or any humanity would say, sit him down.
Yeah, this is not the end of the world here. This is the NFL. It means an awful lot to us. There's a lot of people that watch it, and there's a lot of things riding on it, but it certainly is not the end of the world. So let's do better with the concussion protocols. But let's stay with that game on the positive side, Jimmy. I know we got our face of the league, man. There was another quarterback that was lighting it up in that game. It was unfortunate to see him come out on the oh no, excuse me. Wait a minute. I'm wrong about that. You want to talk about the Baltimore game, not Miami versus Buffalo for your face. Excuse me.
It's okay. We got a lot going on right now. We got hurricanes, we got games, we got faces, heels, concussions. Williams is 9-0. We can't even stand it. It's okay.
Exactly. But you know what, Williams, do you have anything else to say on Miami Buffalo, or can we move and touch on that Baltimore game?
Yeah, we can go ahead and go on the Baltimore game.
Jimmy, tell us about Lamar.
So something that Chris knows is Lamar is not only the MVP, but he's also the most exciting player to watch in the NFL. He is my face of the week, Lamar Jackson. For the season, Rod, he is 56 of 88, 63% completion, 749 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, he's scored every single touchdown or been involved in every single touchdown the Ravens have had this year. That's nuts.
Maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of other offensive weapons, right? Maybe that's a little bit of a failure on Baltimore's side there, because, yeah, he's as Tua. Listen to me, I'm still doing it again. I'm all confused here. This hurricane's got me messed up. It's messing with my brain waves. As Lamar goes, so go the Ravens, because their defense is not really up to Ravens standards anymore, Williams. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to get, have the wide receivers get past you against the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have a lot of speed, but it's another thing to let the Patriots receivers get past you. The Ravens defense has a lot of issues right now. We'll see how they attack the Bills coming up on Sunday. But yeah, one more note on Lamar. He had never thrown for over 150 yards and 3 touchdowns versus the blitz in a single game. He did that in the first half versus the Dolphins when he played them in week 2. And then he did it again in New England, giving the Ravens their first win ever in New England. I did not know that going into that game. Baltimore Ravens had never won in New England. Lamar put on a show, and the Ravens got the outright W there.
I love those New England stats that keep popping up a little bit, kind of like that one that you just said there, that are just so different now that there's not a number 12 at quarterback any longer. for the Patriots up there, right? It's just kind of different. Teams don't get dominated quite as much by by old Belichick up there in New England anymore. That's always good to hear. Speaking of dominated, I need to take a bit of an L here. I tried to get cute last week in my Tom Cruise game of the week. I tried to get out ahead of my skis. I tried to swerve a little bit, give you a curveball, not go with the obvious game. And I went with New Orleans versus Carolina because I thought Jameis versus Baker, if nothing else, would give me some fireworks. And boy, did that game come off as an absolute dud. So I have to grade that Tom Cruise game of the week as the movie Oblivion. Ever heard of that one? Yeah, Oblivion was a movie that Tom Cruise made, came out a few years back. Morgan Freeman was in it with him. It was a weird sci-fi thing where he was like a guy left on planet Earth after it was attacked looking for resources, but maybe there was some conspiracy going on because, of course, there's always a conspiracy going on in a Tom Cruise movie. Oblivion kind of came and went, and nobody even really remembers it, so that's my grade. Jimmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a lot bigger of an Oblivion fan than that. So I don't know. This one, I was thinking more of like a Mummy type situation here.
I looked at the Mummy. I love that you say the Mummy. I looked at the Mummy. I looked at Valkyrie a little bit.
Oh wow, Valkyrie would have probably been good because who remembers that?
Looked at Lions for Lambs as well. That's another one that just kind of came and went.
Yeah, this game though it does have a lot of weird storylines involved with it. And Oblivion does have that with it, so I can kind of see where you came in there. So that's okay. I think Oblivion's a better movie than this game was a game, but I do see where you're coming from.
As far as on the Tom Cruise scale, you see where Oblivion comes in. And I appreciate you sticking up for Oblivion there, Jim. That's good. I want you to live your truth here on the podcast.
That's my truth.
Yeah. But as far as the Tom Cruise scale goes, Oblivion is right where that game is. I'm going to look to redeem myself big time with this week's Tom Cruise game of the week, but I will get to that. But Jimmy, speaking of New Orleans and Carolina, Chris had one last thing for us, and it comes out of that game.
Yeah, so Jameis Winston. One thing Chris knows is Jameis Winston is not the answer for the Saints.
I think that's unfair. I'm just gonna let me defend Tua here real quick, Jimmy, and then you take the pro Chris stance here because frankly, if Chris was on, I'd interrupt him anyway. So we're just gonna go ahead and in spirit that like Chris is here, I'd interrupt him to say this. I think it's unfair right now to say that Jameis isn't the answer for the Saints because I think his injury is really affecting him optimally performing in that new offense with those pretty good receivers that we have. Kamara seems to be a little maybe nicked up. Maybe he's on the downside. Who knows? But I don't think it's completely fair to judge Jameis right now because of the rib injury he has. But Jimmy, give Chris his point.
Chris's point is his quarterback rating is at 79 right now, and that's really low, especially since he only has 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Yes, he's got the yards, but some of those are coming in games that he needs to throw anyway. He's just not the leader that the Saints need right now, and they're kind of in a mediocre position where the division they're in isn't extremely tough right now, so they have a shot, but they're not going to go too far in the playoffs. So that right there means Jameis Winston is not your answer. Hope I did good for you, Chris.
Yeah, I think Chris would definitely say a lot of those things, which is basically, I think, what Chris likes to do here in Williams. I know that you always love this kind of thinking as well, right? The Saints are certainly not set up for the future at all here, right? They got a lot of veterans. They don't have a lot of young guys. They've been robbing Peter to pay Paul as far as working salary around to get guys under cap to sign other veterans. And so you're just looking at a team that has, a couple of guys who might be able to break out, but not a lot of depth, and then therefore you're kind of stuck with a guy like Jameis, who I wouldn't argue is going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to raise your ceiling, right, Mr. Williams? Do you think that's a fair characterization of our guy Jameis?
Yeah, I mean, Jameis is up and down, man. He's a roller coaster. He does have to play better, but I mean, the reason why they lost that game last week was the Kamara fumble 6. I mean, and their kicker missed a couple field goals, so. I mean, they still have a good defense. They've had a lot of injuries too. So it's tough to get a read on the Saints just as of yet, but we'll see. I still – the NFC is so weak that I still think that their defense is going to carry them. And if Jameis just doesn't turn the ball over, which he has been the old Jameis lately, they should get a playoff spot. But they do have to start playing better. Jameis has to start playing better.
So I guess ultimately I tacitly agree with Chris there, but I just like to fight with the guy, and so in his stead, with him not being here, I'll just kind of create a straw man argument there because I don't like people going at my guy Jameis, but ultimately I understand that he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but something about that guy I just enjoy. But you know what else I enjoy? Our handicapper being 9-0. So I'm sure that you looked over the schedule, you handpicked these games to make sure to keep this undefeated streak alive, Mr. Williams. Right? What game are you going with first?
This is a pretty I did not think that this was the game I was going to go with first leading up to it because it's two terrible coaches. It's Zona against Carolina out in Carolina. I'm going to go, believe it or not, with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm taking Zona +2. You can find that on BetMGM. Listen, we called out Vance Joseph in week 1, the defensive coordinator, for blitzing Mahomes too much because Mahomes just tears up the blitz. And what happened? KC went up and down the field on them. The only team that blitzes more than Zona is Wink Martindale and the G-Men. We knew that coming into the year. Baker, when they played it against the Giants, blitz was terrible. And he's 33rd. Baker's 33rd out of 34 QBs in on-target throw percentage from a clean pocket.
Is that important?
That is not good, man. And I don't think there's going to be that many clean pockets on Sunday. And that takes into account drops, too. So he was only pressured on 17% of his dropbacks last week, and he had a completion percentage 16% below expectation. And you go back to the offseason here, there was a report that was leaked last year that said that Matt Rule didn't practice any red zone plays with the team. That Carolina was not practicing red zone plays, which is one of the most bizarre things to hear.
Those aren't important. Once you get close to the end zone, it's easier, right?
It's easier. And this is an interesting market trend here. When you have a dog in week 4 specifically that is getting between 1.5 and 2.5 points, those teams are 23-7 against the spread in their last 30 games. Baker's only 11-22 as a favorite in his career. So he's lost twice as many games against the spread as a favorite in his career. Matt Rule is even worse. Matt Rule's 3-10 against the spread as a favorite in his career. And believe it or not, as much as I just hate Cliff Kingsbury, the fake sharp I like to call him, he's 14-3-2 against the spread as a road dog in his career. I cannot believe those numbers, but here they are. They're true. Cliff has covered 7 straight as a road dog. That's surprising as hell also. Dogs on the year so far are 27-18-2 against the spread. That's 60%. I'm going with the numbers here. I'm going with the better quarterback, Kyler. Let's take Zona +2. I don't love it, but all the numbers here say to take the Cards here.
All right, so Jimmy, we have the Tomlin rah-rah spot, which we get out of Williams all the time, right? We have the absolute insane love for Kyle Shanahan, right? We also know that he's got a little bit of a crush on Danny Dimes, and I feel like he really goes anti-Baker quite often, right? Isn't this something else Williams does?
Well, he's a numbers guy, and Baker really doesn't produce the numbers.
Oh,
so,
my guy Baker's just getting killed by everybody on the pod today.
Yeah, he is. Now, Williams, real quick, there's been a lot of action here on the Cardinals. Would you still feel same if it was 1.5?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a +2 on BetMGM still available as we record this, but yeah, I think 1.5 is fine. You're not going through any key numbers there. If it was going from like 2.5 to 3.5, that's a huge key number there, or 6.5 to 7.5. Those are huge key numbers. But from 2 down to 1.5 is not that big of a deal. The Zona could still lose by 1 and you still cover. I think they get the outright W here. Carolina, a lot of issues there.
I just don't understand. I mean, again, Baker. All my insane QB loves are coming out in this podcast, right? I love Baker, and I have no reason to. I love Jameis, and I have absolutely no reason to. Before we started this podcast, I was ranting and raving about the Colts, but I'm saving you listeners from that this week, and I was being insane, saying that I want to give anything for Gardner Minshew. I just have this insane love for quarterbacks that probably aren't really, really good. I don't know what it is about me. That's why I should never be in charge of deciding a quarterback that plays for an NFL team. All right, then we got Cliff Kingsbury being picked by Williams. I never thought I'd see that. Give me game number 2.
Yeah, this is the Sunday nighter, Kansas City, Tampa. I'm taking Tampa Bay. You can find it Pick'em on Caesars right now. This line opened up at Tampa Bay getting 3. There's been a ton of sharp action on the Bucks here, and I agree. I did not like what I saw from Kansas City last week. I know I picked the Colts to cover last week. I actually picked them outright to win that game in my confidence pool picks, but I thought both teams played terrible. This isn't the same offense that Kansas City has shown us in the last few years, and there's obviously a reason why. Tyreek's no longer there. I think this Tampa secondary matches up really well versus this unproven group of Kansas City wide receivers. I mean, you've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who they're not using down the field, who that's the only reason that you have him on the team is to throw downfield. You got the unproven Mecole Hardman. Byron Pringle's no longer there. Tyreek Hill's no longer there. You're relying on a 33-year-old tight end who is still awesome, but we saw him drop a touchdown pass against the Colts last week. I mean, teams are going to start keying on that, and the Bucs have the linebackers to at least limit him. And take a look at this. Brady is 66, 36-2 against the spread coming off an ATS loss in his career. He's 11-3 against the spread with Tampa under those same parameters. Brady is 11-1 against the spread as a home underdog in his career. Think about that. Brady's only been a home underdog 12 times in his career. He's 11-1 against the spread in those games. That's the best cover percentage out of any quarterback in the last 2 decades. Coming off a straight-up loss, Brady is 43-16 against the spread. That's 72%. And with the Bucs in those games, he's 7-2. And off a loss as a dog, he's 10-0 since 2003. So there's a ton of points here that point towards Tampa. He's going to get Mike Evans back. He might get Julio back. Sounds like he's going to get the big offensive tackle Donovan Smith back. The Chiefs have a lot of problems here. Remember, the Chiefs have faced the 6th easiest schedule of opposing pass defenses. It's a huge step up here. And you had Mahomes frustrated with Bieniemy at the half versus Indy. And remember, going back, they had kind of a tumultuous relationship. Mahomes was not happy with Bieniemy from the second quarter on in the AFC Championship game last year versus Cincy. There was a ton of stuff that came out like on Reddit after that game. I thought for sure Bieniemy was not going to be with the Chiefs. After that, they ended up consulting and re-signing. So there could be some stuff underlying here with the Chiefs offense. I like Tampa pick 'em here on Sunday Night Football.
Okay, the Bucs defense is good. I'll give you that. But the Bucs defense is more geared to stop the run. Kansas City's not really interested in doing anything on the run. I just find it hard to believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose 2 games in a row. I know that the Bucs would have to lose 2 games in a row, but the Bucs team on offense that I've seen in the couple of games that I've checked them out absolutely cannot beat the Kansas City Chiefs is the way that I see it. Jimmy, you closer to me and believing in the Chiefs just because, off a muscle memory, so to speak, or do you like what Williams is laying down here?
This is kind of a must-win for the Chiefs because if they go 1-3, their next 4 games are Raiders, Bills, 49ers, Titans are nothing, but then the Jags and Chargers after that, Rams. They've got a tough schedule. They lose this game, they may not be making the playoffs. So I think I'm kind of more towards you. I think the Chiefs will figure it out. I did not like what I saw from the Bucs at all, and I didn't like what I saw from the Chiefs. But there was a lot more mental mistakes. I mean, if they make 2 plays, 1 non-fumble and 1 touchdown pass, they win the game, or they don't go for that fake field goal. So there's a lot that the Chiefs did to beat themselves last week. I think the Chiefs are going to win this one, but of course Williams is 9-0. So who are we, right?
Yeah, remember, going into the season, I said the Chiefs had one of the toughest schedules in the league coming in, and they do, man. They have a tough schedule, and you could argue that the Bucs have faced 3 defenses: the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Packers. All 3 of those defenses are better than the Chiefs. And now you're getting guys back healthy. There's Russell Gage put up an awesome game last week. There's rumors that Chris Godwin could even play. Lenny Fournette, has looked good. So I don't know. All those stats with Brady, I don't think Brady loses two home games in a row. I'll take Brady here. Pick him.
Listen, you're 9-0. I mean, nobody should take me. I literally just said that I wanted the Colts to trade for Gardner Minshew. All right, so I mean, clearly, I'm not the biggest, brightest football brain on this podcast. But one thing I do know is we make you pick 3 games, and we've only got 2. So what do you got for your final game of the week?
Yeah, this may surprise you. We took. I posted that I was going to take the Rams-Niners game. I'm not taking the Niners here, but I'm not taking the Rams either. We're going to go with the first half under in this game, 20.5 total points. You can find that -105 on BetMGM. Listen, the 49ers, 29th in first half pace. The Rams are just average in first half pace. and the Niners lost big offensive tackle Trent Williams. That is huge for the running game. We saw on Sunday night when the Niners really struggled to move the ball on the ground after Trent Williams left the game with an injury. And the Rams offense just isn't as explosive as in years past. Stafford has had trouble getting on the same page with Robinson. We saw teams key in on Kupp last week. He did not have a good game. And Jimmy G still looks like he's in preseason form, man. He was terrible on Sunday night. He's got a negative .66 EPA on third down throws. That is not good at all. San Francisco D has been really good versus the run. And check this out. The Niners D has given up 0 points to the Bears in the first half. They've given up 0 points to the Seahawks in the first half, and they've given up 3 points to the Broncos in the first half. I get it. The Rams' offense is better than all three of those. But meanwhile, the Rams have only given up 1 touchdown in the first half all year, and that was against the juggernaut that is the Bills' passing offense on the very first drive of the NFL season. Ever since then, 0 touchdowns. So I like this game to have a lot of punts on Monday Night Football. I'm sure they're thrilled about that. But I will take the first half under in this game, 20.5 on BetMGM of the Rams and Niners.
Listen, you were 9-0, and we threw plenty of flowers your way on this podcast already, but come on, man. We got so many good games left on the board. You're giving me an under in the first half? Williams, man. Already in week 4, we're going to this trickery?
This is where you find value, man. This is where this is the common fan wants overs, and they want 55-point totals and Bills and Ravens, and yeah, let's throw it all over the place. Whereas the handicappers, we root a lot for punts and first half unders, and that's just how it is.
Wow. All right, listen, I guess if you want to be educated in the world of being able to win more than you lose, Williams is the guy to follow right now because he has 0 losses so far on this year. 0 losses so far on this year. I feel like I only want to give him half credit for this one since he only picked half of a game. but we'll allow it. We'll allow it. All right, I like that you mentioned Buffalo versus the Ravens there, Jimmy. Lots of people could think that this would be my Tom Cruise game of the week. But alas, Jim, I'm throwing another curveball. I'm not picking that game. Am I foolish for not just picking the easy one after my oblivion from last week?
There's a couple of really good games. Yeah, you were going to go with a blockbuster, but the Bills-Ravens could turn into that mummy. So I think I know where you're going on this one. I think I like it.
Yeah, let's fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Let's see the
Whoa.
Eagles, who are 3-0, taking on the red hot Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have officially adopted the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's how disgusted I am with the state of affairs in Indianapolis. The Jaguars are my team. I gave them to you in the preseason. Trevor Lawrence is gorgeous with his hair flowing out of that helmet. Doug Peterson is turning the dials. Jaguars, Eagles is going to be an absolute barn burner. It's my Tom Cruise game of the week. Mr. Williams, your thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to give props to you and Chris for his Dallas defensive love for at the start of the year. It looks like he's correct on that. They've been outstanding. But you, my friend, were on the Jags train from the start, and I said I like them, but maybe hold back a little bit. I think they can win 7, 8, or 9 games. I'm starting to lean towards you, man. That this defense is pretty good. It's probably not as good as what they've shown so far, but this offense is what I've been super impressed with. Trevor Lawrence, number 1 rated quarterback in EPA per dropback versus zones this year. He's really getting the ball out quick. 2.42 seconds per dropback for Lawrence. That's 6th quickest in the league. That's complete opposite from Justin Fields, by the way, as our Bears fan.
Nice.
But hey, the Bears are 2-1. So
I just killed the
maybe I should
Colts,
shut
man.
up.
Let's unburden ourselves. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Goodness gracious.
I'm worried about the Philly pass rush, though. They could cause them problems, and the pass block win rate has been 31st for the Jags this year. So even though that's been bad, Lawrence has still got the ball out quick, and his ADOT is actually pretty good for how quick he's releasing the ball. So, man, what a train wreck Urban Meyer was last year. It goes to show you, a good coach, good offensive mind, and Doug Peterson could help Trevor Lawrence this early. But yeah, this should be a good game. Philly and Jacksonville on Sunday.
I like that you mentioned Doug Peterson again there. Jimmy, it's kind of, I think Peterson got a bit of a bad rap. I understand that things kind of get stale in Philly, but, can't we blame what went on in Philly a little bit more on their terrible former quarterback who is now a terrible former Colts quarterback and who's about to be a terrible former Commanders quarterback?
I think so, yeah. I think he did win the Super Bowl. Now, some of his play calling wasn't the best, but again, he's an adult in the room, and like I picked at the beginning, I don't get many things right, but I thought the Jags were going to do well, and if Peterson's not the coach of the year right now, I don't know who is. Maybe the 3-1 Bears and or Giants, whoever's 3-1 after this week, their coach will get it.
Yeah, there we go. It's gonna go to I can't even think of the guy's name now. The coach Eberflus, the former Colts D,
yeah.
and then the Eagles, maybe Sirianni, another former Colts assistant. Yeah, all these guys that were clearly the brain trust for Frank Reich when things were going good in Indianapolis. These two guys fly out of town and look at the garbage we have. Frank Reich should be fired right now, literally just for hiring Gus Bradley as his defensive coordinator. That's why he should be fired right now.
Agreed. Rod, we do need to chat about something real quick. We did mention.
Oh yeah, that's right. We record on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And so Jimmy, we have some news. I'm currently not watching the Thursday night game because of other circumstances. But Jimmy, let us know what's happening.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Tua earlier and got hurt last week. Obviously, he got hurt again tonight. Rod. He has been taken to a local hospital. He was stretchered off the field after he was sacked by Bengals nose tackle Josh Tupou, I believe. His arms appeared to seize up almost immediately. He remained on the field for roughly 10 minutes before he was loaded onto a stretcher. He was taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center with head and neck injuries. However, he does have full movement in all his extremities, and he is conscious. If you're going to get hurt, University of Cincinnati Medical Center is a fantastic place to go. They're second to none, honestly. So that's a great place for him to be. Thoughts obviously with him, but this brings up a whole lot of other questions that need to be. We talked about it earlier, and we didn't make light of it because it's a little gimmick that we have, but we were pretty serious that. Look what happened again. Why was he playing? Why was he doing this? I don't get it.
Yeah, because not only was he playing again after that scary scene we saw unfold, but it's a short week. He's literally got just Monday to recover, and then they had a bit of a practice, which I'm sure he didn't really participate in, but that's another reason, right? He's out there doing walkthroughs, whatever you had him doing. I guarantee they didn't just have him sitting in a dark room. He shouldn't have been playing in this game. We are not doctors, and the Dolphins are going to try to defend themselves against it and all the above, but I think we all know in our hearts that if he's not banged up from last week and not playing in this short week game, perhaps the hit that he gets doesn't have the severity that it has here, right? Game of football is a dangerous game. You can get hurt on any hit that you take. We all know that. But we are also starting to learn that these things basically build upon themselves, right? One sort of semi-nagging injury can lead to another. Scar tissue builds up over time. Things get really, really bad. It's going to be interesting to hear the discussion, Jim, because we have Friday, right? We have all day Friday where everybody's supposed to be fired up about the NFL weekend to chop all of this up. And it's going to be interesting to see where this conversation goes.
This is sad. This is a human being. This is, yesterday, and my son was playing in the Final Four and his third and fourth grade. A kid got hurt on the other team, and the coach literally picked him up by his shoulder pads and drug him into the huddle. And I was disgusted by that. And this is what we do. You don't care about the person. Who cares if the kid plays? Who cares if Tua played this week? You're not going to lose any money. You're going to lose a game. Whatever. Thank goodness he was moving because they did not know about that. They just tweeted out that he was moving and he was conscious. So this is sad, Williams. Very sad.
Yeah, hopefully he's all right. I haven't seen it yet, but man, sounds like from what you guys are saying, it sounds like it's pretty terrible. So thoughts and prayers with Tua. It seems like he's an awesome guy too, man. So guys love playing with him, and I agree with all you guys are saying.
And Tua's had the injuries from college and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I feel for these guys so much too, because at what point do you say to yourself, man, how much damage am I really doing to myself to keep pursuing this? You know what I mean? And Tua's already got his legs are probably all beat up. Who knows what's going on with the spine and or head at this point? I mean, my goodness. Let's all keep in mind that Jimmy said, we all love our fantasy teams. We all love our bets that we're putting down, but these are genuine, real life human beings on the other end here. And in 2022, we all need to try to show a little bit more compassion. So let's make sure that we're not just lighting these guys up on our random Facebook posts or tweets to fire off our hot takes, because that's just not helping the situation at all. And on that note, I think we will close up shop here for NFL Week 4. We will be back next week, same time, to preview Week 5 for you. Hopefully, Chris will see his way through the power outage in North Carolina and be back with us next week. Jimmy, we got a pretty big week in professional wrestling for folks next week, do we not?
We do. Sorry, I just actually saw the hit, and it's not cool. It's a fine hit, but that's scary. So the hurricane Ian has really taken a toll on the Yeah We Know podcast 100th episode part 2. I was hoping to have that out earlier this week, but the servers were down because of that. So we will have that out. We've got a huge pay-per-view coming up with a lot of intense matchups at Extreme Rules, and we're going to find out more about that. Is the White Rabbit going to appear? Who is the White Rabbit? We will find out, hopefully, in the next week or so.
Oh, Jimmy, honestly, I'm probably going to hijack the next wrestling podcast right at the beginning, and I've got 6 questions for you about stuff that I'm chomping at the bit to talk about the sports entertainment world. So we might have 2 wrestling episodes out for you next week, as well as this one coming out. And I think as a special bonus, there might be something about Survivor. We're not going to do an every week Survivor recap because we're not going to put that much work on our guy Jimmy Jam this year. But the one and only Wu-Tang, Matt Kozerski, is also a huge Survivor fan, and we all know how difficult he is to lock down. But early returns right now say him and another special guest perhaps may join me and the Mrs. Morgan to talk about Survivor kicking off not this week but the previous week. So stay tuned for that as well. Jimmy, I will give the final word to you in place of our esteemed co-host who wasn't with us this week, Chris King.
Goodbye, Internet.